All right, coming in at number 1, the top player of the 2024 NHL draft. It's centerman Macklin Celebrini, the Hobey Baker winner with the Boston University Terriers.
Yeah, Ross, Macklin Celebrini is the undisputed first overall pick. There's not even any clickbaity guys that are trying to bring attention to their draft rankings by having him as number 2. He's the top guy, and for a good reason, Ross. There's so much to like about him. Do we have time for me to go through his EP awards?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll take a deep breath.
We'll save the time on going through each one of our scouts because I can just say everybody has him first overall.
Good. See, that's how you manage podcast time. That's why we've got it figured out here. So EP has awarded him first, the best in all these categories: straight line skater, highest floor, transition forward, and two-way forward. He is the second best shots, hand, vision, highest ceiling, and offensive forward, and the third best motor. So there's not a lot of holes here when you're looking at a guy like Macklin Celebrini. Honestly, Ross, this is probably the prospect I've researched the least because we've heard all about it. We all watch the World Juniors. We all know he's going number 1 to the San Jose Sharks. Mike Greer's not even kind of flirting around with it or being coy about it. Everyone knows that's what's happening. So
I appreciate that about him, by the way.
So do I. Yeah, quit the charades.
Your drafting Celebrini was the lottery. From that moment forward,
yeah,
you should be able to make the first overall pick at the lottery.
Yeah, honestly, I like that idea.
They brought him to the studio like he was there. They're like putting him around like a show pony. They're like, this is him, but don't say it. We got to wait till the draft. Dude, he's there. Just give him the jersey.
Honestly, Ross, that gave me a new idea. The draft should go 1 pick a day for the whole offseason.
That would be wild.
But as we mentioned, like Macklin Celebrini, there's so much to like. But Ross, reading EP's draft guide, where they really solidified him at the top, we know the offensive game is there, right? We know he's a centerman that's able to put up points. I mean, when you have 32 goals and 32 assists, clearly you're a dual threat that can score and shoot when you have the exact same amount of goals as assists. But where he really elevated his game for EP was his defensive game, the commitment to playing well on defense. He back checks hard. He's engaged defensively. He's not cheating offensively. He's the kind of guy, David St. Louis showed clips of him. Lane Hudson is in his own end in the corner with 2 attackers on him. Macklin Celebrini's coming in for help. He's coming in to be an extra option for Lane Hudson, or just to tie up one of those 2 attackers. He's able to read the game in a full 200-foot scale, and he does it really well. This is a centerman that every single team covets. Ross, even if you already have a number 1 centerman, you want Macklin Celebrini because he's more than likely better than your number 1 centerman right now.
You know how we've been calling a lot of these prospects jack of all trades? I want to call Macklin a Sydney of all trades because he's not quite Crosby, but he certainly has a shadow of his game with the heavy down low plays, good at leaning off guys, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's a pass right through the slot on the tape. Like for me, most impressively was his vision and finding his teammates in the offensive zone in spots where they then just have to make one move and it's like a tap in. It's almost like Macklin is scoring off of his teammates, with all due respect, but he hasn't just come onto the scene in the last 2 years. Macklin Celebrini was for years touted as the top player in this draft class, and for good reason, going back to his days with Shattuck St. Mary. Hey, and know anybody else who went to Shattuck St. Mary's? Oh, Sidney Crosby.
Okay, right. You want me to run through the entire list of players that have gone through Shattuck St. Mary's?
We'd be here for a while. But then he took an unconventional route, went and played in the USHL for a year, then went to Boston University. Pillsy, we also have to get this across early enough. Even though he's an NCAA guy, you're talking about Canada's own. 8 points in 5 games at the
sir.
World Juniors. He's a Vancouver guy, and I like the personality that he was showing at the playoffs. Did you see that? He was getting involved in some "Go Canucks, Go" chants at the Canucks Oilers second round series. He said, "I just had to get one last one out of my system before he's drafted by a divisional rival." But not only is Macklin a Vancouver guy, but he moved with his family at a young age to San Jose of all places, because his dad got a job with the Golden State Warriors in like the Matty Nickel role, like the health and performance role with them. So he's grown up around great athletes. He's seen greatness firsthand with Steph Curry and all the championships the Warriors have got. His dad, Rick Celebrini, has been a part of that whole journey there. He's a close family friend with Steve Nash. Like he's in very high air with who his family is around, and I think that kind of goes into his personality. He's obviously very driven, very motivated. He's a guy who, I mean, not as soon as the Olympics, it's the hardest team to make ever, but I think the following, like if we're looking at a 2028 Olympics for Team Canada, this is the type of player, I think, with his smarts, that as a 23, 24-year-old, once he catches his stride, we're going to be talking about him as one of the best centermen in the National Hockey League.
Wait, isn't the Winter Olympics 2026?
Don't know. I think you're wrong.
Oh, dang.
No, you've been right before.
No, not very often. I've been wrong more than I've been right.
Winter Olympics are being held. Oh, the first one was in 1924 in Chamonix.
Okay, so let's just go 4 years from then. What was the year?
2026. You're right. Is the Olympics. Man. So hey, look out for Macklin Celebrini on the 2030 men's Olympic roster.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure if he's cracking the 2026 one, but no. You can definitely see him in 2030. So get your tickets now at game time. But yes, Celebrini, Ross, like I don't even have much more to say about him. He's so good. He's a highlight reel machine. I believe, Ross, I'm just finding it to double check. Yeah, this says it right here. Industry chatter from EP's draft guide. One NHL executive just said, "F, he's amazing, isn't he?" Like that's it right there. Like he's just amazing, isn't he?
And not only is he amazing the way he plays, but he makes his teammates better. And let's look at it from the Sharks perspective. Obviously, JD Young over at Locked On Sharks has been doing deep dives on Macklin Celebrini. Probably knows his favorite food, what he likes to do on his off days, everything. And I mean, getting the first overall pick, what a dream that would be. You look at what the Sharks have, and they've drafted a lot of forwards recently, but they've drafted in particular Will Smith and William Eklund, who very well could be centermen at the end of the day, but they also have already moved William Eklund over to the wing. And it's like, hey, is Will Smith going to be best used on the wing as well? To get a surefire top centerman, I think it just gives them more flexibility, and it takes pressure off of those two guys to be a first line centerman in the NHL. Because I think Celebrini is kind of computed and just built to be that guy. And if he turns pro right away, yeah, it might be a year or two of growing pains like we saw with Bedard, where they'll take over the odd game, but it's still a learning process. But that might be even more important 2-3 years down the road, because then he'll get through that and be ready to go when the Sharks are ready to start competing. If you're Mike Greer and the San Jose Sharks, are you pushing him to leave school? Are you leaving it completely up to him? Or would you even encourage him going back for his sophomore year?
I'll go with option B there, Ross. I just leave it completely up to him. Like, this is your franchise cornerstone player. This might be the greatest San Jose Shark ever if things pan out, right? I mean, obviously, no disrespect to Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton. That's probably
Joe Pavelski, or has time?
No, yeah, I'll throw Joe Pavelski in there. Yeah, so
Danny Heatley, Jonathan Chichu, Milan McCulloch, Dan Boyle, a good Ottawa boy, Dan Boyle.
Yeah, no disrespect to all of those guys, Ross, and any other San Jose Shark that has ever played there.
Brian Boucher.
I do think he's going to be the cream of the crop. You just say Macklin, you tell us what you want and we'll cater to you, we'll appease to you. But in my opinion, Ross, I think he should go back to school. This San Jose Sharks team is nowhere close to being ready. Now, obviously, there's a huge offseason, and whether or not they add him or not will affect how Mike Greer attacks the offseason here. But I even think Will Smith is probably like, damn, I kind of wish I hadn't declared I'm going to the NHL. I should have stayed back in college, because there's no harm in going back to college, but there can be harm going to the NHL too quickly. Like, what is the point if you're the San Jose Sharks of rushing this guy other than trying to get some butts in seats and sell jerseys? Like, just let him enjoy college. He's having a good time there. Let him continue to develop. Try to build up your team even more. Have another year where you're the Sharks and you finish 32nd place and you draft another amazing player. Like, I just think that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I like that thought process. Mike Greer obviously would have a very strong relationship. He's a former Boston University Terrier as well, and the head coach there, also former NHLer Jay Pandolfo, is the head coach of the Terriers. So I don't hate that idea. Obviously, with Will Smith, he's a year removed, so he's already kind of gone back for that extra year. But those two together, I think, could be a great duo in San Jose. And then for them having the 14th overall pick and to be able to get a defenseman to kind of round that out, if they do go with a defenseman there.
Jan Solberg.
Yeah, Solberg, Jiricek. I would even like EJ Emery there, 14. It might be a little high, but you get like that proper shutdown guy. You already have all these offensive talents. So they could go a million different directions. And I'm just jealous. The Ottawa Senators haven't had a first overall pick since what? Chris Phillips?
Gotta be.
Yeah. We missed out, Pilsy, when we were like 2, 3, 4 years old. The Sens drafted first overall all the time.
We would have done so many good draft prospect profiles for that.
I don't think that we would have had the same ability to look them up.
No.
The Ottawa Senators' last first overall pick was correct. Chris Phillips. 96. 95, they drafted Brian Berard, then traded him. Yep. And then 93, Alexandre Daigle. Sens have had good drafts outside of first overall in the top 5, though. Yashin, Spezza, Bonk, Stützle, Kachuk, and Sanderson.
Love it.
That'll do. And coming in at number 1, it's Macklin Celebrini with an average of 1.0 for all 80 of our NHL draft profiles. Go check us out on YouTube, Locked On Senators.